Shafer, happy Saturday. How are things going there in the great city of Seattle?
Uh, Things are going pretty good. Christian McCaffrey is coming back soon, so that'll be a welcome addition back to the set of players that I call running backs on my team right now.
Well, I'm watching a little college football this morning and actually going to a game later today, which will be fun. But
Nice.
Christian McCaffrey's younger brother, Luke, had a big run against Ohio State, like a 50-yard run. He's a quarterback, but they played him at running back, and he looks
Wow.
every ounce as fast, maybe not as big, but as fast as his brother.
All right. What is he? I do not follow college football at all. What is he, a senior? Is he a junior, sophomore? What's he doing?
I want to say he's a freshman. I could be wrong, and
Ah,
AJ can correct me. He's
okay.
a freshman or a sophomore. I think he transferred from Michigan, but he's their backup quarterback, but they use him kind of all over the field. So it'll be an interesting kind of guy to watch in the coming years. I know AJ and I are going to do the future SKFLers podcast soon where we look at college guys. So we're going to help some of you non-college football fans out.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I look for in players sometimes is like just having the pedigree, right? Like McCaffrey, obviously Ed McCaffrey, as his dad, and then Mahomes, his dad, played professional sports. So these kids who grow up in it, often they have something that these other players don't, and it can give them an advantage.
Well, I know and I agree 100%. I know we both had a busy week, and we tried to get this as early as Wednesday, and we back and forth, just couldn't get it done, but I'm glad we're able to do it now.
Unlike, I think, half the SKFL, we have jobs. So
Yeah, we do, for better or worse. So let's get into the pickup artist. I know the first episode went really good, and you've got a lot of stuff you want to go over. So I'm just going to tee you up, and we'll kind of go from there, okay?
sounds good.
So you got some notes here. So we're working off. Ian
Oh
had
yeah.
put together a sheet, and I'm kind of looking at it. It's very detailed. I don't know where we're going with this. This is what's
let
called
me
little show prep on my end.
let me help you out.
Okay.
So I loved the pod you did with Jeff. Listening back to all those drafts, pretty much agreed with the order too. Had to come to the except that the drafts that I had hosted were in the bottom part, but we'll work on that in future years. I did take umbrage to one thing, like, come on, any grown man who has to sleep in a bed next to Kenny, like, it's going to be a little tough. Come on.
Well, I mean, I've slept in beds with, I think, Jeff in the past, maybe one or two other SKFLers, but
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny would be lower on my wish list on that than maybe most. And that's no offense to Kenny. He's just, he's a big guy.
Seriously, I was like curled up. I was right on the edge. I'm surprised I didn't fall off. And by the way, I'm sorry that I wear pajamas like a normal person. Okay.
Is that a standard Ian pajamas to bed thing? Is that a Stella mandate? I mean, where did this come from?
No, I mean, I'm comfortable in pajamas. That's how I sleep.
I occasionally will wear like pants to bed, like like pajama pants. But
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
no,
have a
that's yeah.
set. I don't have like a uniform that I would go to bed in. All right. Well, yeah, that pod was fun. I'm glad Jeff was able to put that together. What about the trade?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a big trade this week.
I just thought we could cover this a little bit. We cover there's the three legs to the fantasy season: the draft, waivers, free agency, and trades. So we can cover trades sometimes when they come up here. So Musa gave up Nick Chubb for Blake's Derek Carr. This was a move that Musa needed to make. He was down to Brady and Darnold. And I mean, looking at what Musa's done this year, I mean, he's picked up two quarterbacks. Brady and Derek Carr here for Fant and Chubb. If he's not able to make these moves, he's in a world of pain. So I think this is a savvy move by him. The trade on it it feels like a decent trade. I mean, what do you think as far as value? When this came across and you saw it, did you have an immediate reaction to it?
No, I thought it was actually a pretty. I think each back got scratched here because now Blake can go into next year. Chubb will probably, even this year, Chubb will be a factor. He's a 5th-round keeper next year. I figure you keep that. Blake,
That'll be
you probably
value.
would not keep Carr as an 8.
Nah.
So he's just putting pieces together to have a solid team, and having good, solid running backs is a big part of that. So
Yeah.
and
No,
this agreed. So I mean, it's a good win both ways.
This tells us Moose is playing for this year. He's not going to blow up the team. And I think Chubb, Kareem Hunt, I don't think he's signed through next year. I mean, I think there's a good chance he's gone and Chubb has that backfield again. So Chubb as a 5 will be a pretty good value. So
I agree.
Good move for both teams.
I'll totally agree. Now, we'd be remiss if we did not talk about our matchup from last Sunday. Man, yeah, you were right for the picking, baby, but my team just could not answer the bell.
I stole one. I don't deserve that win. I mean, I'll take it, but I don't feel good about it. So
No.
I took some notes. I won't go through all these. They're in the show sheet here, but I took some notes before we played because I thought it'd be fun just to kind of go over this. So on Sunday morning, like almost a week ago, I wrote down I was really scared of JTT. Jonathan Taylor. I call him Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Sorry. So I was really scared of him. Thought he was going to have a breakout game. He didn't do a ton. He had some catches, but didn't break out in the way that I thought he would. Casey was absolutely right on the Swift breakout. So, and I missed on this one. That worked out well. James Robinson, I was also scared about him, but he was game scripted out. When the Jags are down, James Robinson isn't getting the touches that he gets when they're in a 1-score game. So that worked out well. T. Higgins is looking good. I mean, he's on the list. He's a pickup, right?
Yes.
Was he drafted?
He was drafted by Los. He got dropped in a group thread. I didn't say his name specifically when Los dropped him. And I was like, man, somebody big just got dropped. And nobody really responded to that in the Sadie and Tager thread. But I thought T. Higgins, just from watching him in college with Burrow, he was the top of the second round. They're going to play his butt. And I didn't feel great about A.J. Green this year. So I think he's going to be a guy down the road that can have a pretty nice career. Yeah,
I mean, he's looking great. A.J. Green kind of came back from the dead. I thought he was done after, I don't know if you saw that play, but Burrow throws it up, doesn't even try to block the interception, doesn't even try to tackle, and then has a hamstring injury.
Hey, he's got a lot of money he's got to protect. He's got a future. He's like Roger Dorn in Major League. He's just cashing chips now.
That hamstring injury is like Melvin Gordon's strep throat this week. It's like, yeah, sure.
Oh man.
I thought the game was going to come down to Lamar and Mark Andrews. Lamar delivered. He was pretty good. Mark Andrews didn't do anything. But I got lucky. I couldn't even watch the Sunday night game. I mean, I hate watching games where I just need a player to not do something. So I was playing cards with my family.
Touchdown pass. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
I mean, I was tracking the plays, and it was like incomplete pass to Cooper Kupp, incomplete pass to Cooper Kupp, and I was like, this can't keep going. Somehow it did.
It's fueling my hatred of Jared Goff, especially against teams that can pressure him. He just doesn't have that gene in him right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't give up on him. I mean, I was actually thinking about making a trade offer to you for him. Like, he's going to be fine rest of the year. Like, I wouldn't be worried about him.
We're not selling low on Cooper Kupp, that's for sure.
Yeah. The big
I know
thing,
you want to do a touch base on some defensive scoring ideas that you've kind of been tinkering about with.
Yeah, and what brought this up was in our game. I mean, I think the big swing was in Baltimore.
Yep.
Baltimore's up 30-14. 4 minutes 33 seconds left, and they intercept the pass. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching. I'm like, oh shit, game over. Luckily, it was overturned, and then there's a huge swing in points there. Mm-hmm. So not a ton of. It was mainly from the points that the Eagles scored after that, but I think this brings up defensive scoring. There's been a lot of chatter about this in SKFL over the past, 15 years since we started. So, but I think we're actually at a point where something could be done about this. So I just wanted to cover like the defensive scoring in SKFL. You get 2 points for a sack, 3 points for a fumble recovery and interception, 6 points for a safety. And then comes the interesting part with yards and points. And so at points, The cutoff points are 0, 3, 12, 18, 29. And then yards, 180, 225, 260, 319, 399. Now, looking at these, I mean, I look at these already, and it's like, how many shutouts are there in a year? There's not a ton. How many times has a team held under, 7 points? It's rare.
Once a month.
Yeah, so it's like already like 0-3 in the point scoring is weird. 180 yards, I mean, that'll happen a couple times, but not often. So I don't know. What do you think? Where do you stand on this defensive scoring? I mean, do you like it?
No, I don't love it because it's exactly what you laid out. I think what we all feel is it's relatively random. And so the skill set in fantasy is, there is going to be some random, but not as much as you might think. But with defenses, it's completely random. And so if you got a good defense, it's a massive advantage against a team that doesn't. Whereas if you got better running backs, it's not as big of a disadvantage necessarily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not as big of a swing. So, and,
Yep.
nobody's drafting a defense in the top 10 rounds. Should it be this big of a factor? Absolutely not. So I am for either limiting the scoring or massively overhauling it where you don't have those, hey, one team gets 60, the other team gets -5, and that decides the week. I don't love that.
Yeah. And I think everyone feels that way. The problems that I listed out here, one thing I hate about defenses is they start at 40 points. So if you're tracking scoring, I mean, you always have to kind of be factoring that in,
right,
and knowing that, hey, come fourth quarter, like this is going to get cut in half, or we're going to get a third of this or whatever. So I don't like it from that perspective. It feels random, and garbage time is, I mean, the Eagles actually almost came back and, were in that game, but that was essentially garbage time where they were just,
right.
The Baltimore was just trying to hang on to win the game. It didn't have a big.
They didn't give a shit about giving up those points, really.
Yeah. So I don't like that. How to fix, we could update scoring, but we've tried to do this. I mean, I've sat there many evenings, like tinkering with that scoring, trying to get it to a point where we think it makes sense. I know Casey's done this too. We can only I've had the idea of only counting the first 3 quarters, but this obviously wouldn't work with our our site. They're not going to support that. You could also think about like just getting rid of the points and the yardage scoring, and just do like the counting stats, sacks, interceptions, fumbles, or we could get rid of them altogether, replace it with wide receiver, running back, tight end, flex. What do you think about those options? Is there another option there? You like any of those?
I like option 3. I like just tossing them. Then let's get another skill guy out there.
I love that too. The other thing I like about that is that, fantasy for me, like, listen, we're all busy. We got other stuff going on. When you add a new position group, that's something else you got to think about. This is why I've always been animate against an IDP. Like, I do not want to get into that.
Totally agree.
And this would just be one less thing that we have to go and kind of dig into. And we could take all the time and effort we're putting into, finding us these position players, and I think that it can help the owners who are spending the time to kind of dig up these deeper names. They can get them out there. So I think it'd be a win.
Yeah, I like it from that perspective. The second part you said is, if you don't have a defense, you have an extra roster position. Now, the later in that draft becomes more interesting too, because you don't have to worry about a defense. Now you can focus on, okay, what rookie young guy that's maybe a little bit off the radar can I get on my roster and even stash for a year, or potentially, just those kind of scenarios, instead of worrying about, who's playing the Jets next week. Can I pick them up on the waivers?
Yeah.
Which doesn't take a lot of thought process.
Yep. And then I went back and looked at each year in the SKFL, the top defenses. I'm not going to go through this list, but there were a couple interesting things.
I'll share my screen so the viewers at home can see it.
Cool. A couple interesting things that popped out here. First of all, I don't know if you know this, Rob. RDR has won 3 championships. And each year
I heard that.
that I've won a championship, I've had the top defense. So that I didn't even know that until I put this list together. So that's interesting.
So why the hell
Last
do you want to
year,
change the defensive scoring, man? This is obviously working in your favor.
Rob, I'm a man of the people. I'm about the SKFL. RDR's number 2. Protect the shield. Okay, so SKFL first, then RDR. Last year, 2019 Pats were amazing, right? They had the highest. They were the highest scoring defense ever in SKFL with 531 points.
Mm-hmm.
They were number 7 overall. Interestingly, the 2006 Ravens,
Yeah.
they finished best as far as like overall finish. They were the number 5 overall.
Mm-hmm.
They only put up 434 points, but relative to all the other players, they were the best team. And then the other thing that was interesting was it 2016?
Yeah.
Arizona
stands out.
Puts up 289 points, number 71 overall, and they were the number 1 defense. So I don't know what happened in 2016, but that was an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So yeah, that's I think that's the defensive section here, and we can jump into the
let's put a ball on
section.
that real quick, because I think that at some point there will be some changes here, and the more input from the league, the better. We want all 12 voices heard on this. But so just keep the banter going, and I think we'll have obviously a commish pod coming up where maybe we can address some of that stuff. But let's get into your categories right now. Here we've got the Damien. So let's start with the first one. Traquan Smith spot start of the week. Who do you have this week?
Yep. So 2 guys, JD McKissick for Randy put up 22, and Tim Patrick for Kinney put up 24. JD McKissick has kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, we all know him from the Hawks, like 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it looks like he's being targeted a ton out of the backfield. He looks like a guy who can kind of carry you as kind of your last starter through the bye week. So that's a good pickup for Randy there. And then Tim Patrick, I mean, is he the wide receiver 1 in Denver? You've probably been watching Jerry Jeudy.
Yep, I've been watching Jeudy. I'm not worried about Jeudy until they get a real quarterback in there. So, but he can't get off my bench till they get somebody who could throw it, complete more than 10 passes in a game.
Is Locke not a real quarterback?
He's not right now. I mean, he's got the potential to be, but I mean, show me the money. He hasn't really put it together yet. He's
chucking it downfield, which you kind of want, but I haven't watched him a ton, so I can't say.
Judy's open a lot. That's all I'm saying, and they're not going to get into him. He's a real deal. But what about your spot goat of the week? And
this is the RDR category. This is why
I can't believe I didn't win that game.
I start Mike Boone and Mecole Hardman, who put up 1 point each.
In your defense of Hardman, he'd had some decent games in previous weeks.
He did, and I was, pairing him with Mahomes. I liked that. And actually, in my notes before the week, I wrote, I was really going back and forth between Robinson and Hardman. I didn't want to drop Hardman though. And then in my notes, I said I didn't want to carry two Chiefs wide receiver 4s, So obviously would have loved to have gone with Robinson there and dropped Hardman. By the way, Casey picks up Hardman. I don't know if you know the term sabotage drop, but that's what the Hardman drop was. So Casey, enjoy that.
How about your Carlos Rodriguez I Love Kickers Award?
Yeah, this goes to Casey. Listen, the logical side of me says this actually doesn't matter, but still, it was kind of hilarious that Baker Mayfield goes out there, stinks up the joint, gets pulled out of the game, and Casey had just dropped Case Keenum for a kicker. So, got to call that out. That's always fun.
That's the best stuff, when you drop a player you might need for a kicker, and then it comes back to kick you in the teeth potentially.
And I mean, he's playing Blake too. It's like you don't need a kicker when you're playing Blake. Blake couldn't even break 100. So
we love you, Blake, but facts are facts. So
Blake, it's your first year. This is a mulligan for you. It's okay.
Yep. Damian Williams waiver claim of the week. What do you go with here?
I put this in here before the game, by the way, but this is Boston Scott. Now, I'm currently number 2 on waivers, and I was back and forth on whether to make this claim. I'm kicking myself now for not making it. Boston Scott's going to he's a low-end RB1 for 2 games. And in the bye weeks, you need this. Mm-hmm. So this was a great pickup for Jeff. That late touchdown really solidified it. But if you watch the game, Boston Scott is the man there.
Yep.
And he looks good.
He's going to be he's carrying the mail there.
Yeah.
How about your Miles Austin free agent acquisition of the week? Who would you go with here?
Yep. Jeremy McNichols. And I just did this because I sometimes I'm surprised when I go to pick up a guy and I say, no one's going to have this guy. Mm-hmm. And they're already claimed. And, this is the part of the season where you're going to start carrying, basically you want to look through the rosters and find the guy who you say, if the number 1 guy goes out, who's going to pick up that job, and would he be a top waiver claim?
Yeah.
And I think Jeremy McNichols is one of those guys. If you see this last game, he had a small role even with Derrick Henry going off. And I think he's proved that he can play. So if Derrick Henry goes down, McNichols is going to be a guy. He's also in the Tennessee offense, which we have to accept is one of the top offenses. Tannehill's on fire. It's him and Pat Mahomes since he got that job. So
it's been awesome.
So he's a good guy to have on your roster.
Now, my favorite award, the Raw Dog No Kicker Award, just a perfect name. Did we have any award winners last week?
Wade won. So Wade won 2 weeks ago. Nobody got it this year because everybody started a kicker. But I have to say, I'm giving Wade kind of an honorable mention here since he started Koo. So, listen, if you're going to start a kicker, make it a good kicker. He started Koo, who scored 20 points, and he won by 10 points. So, this kicker pushed him over the top. So Wade, I think, is honorable mention Raw Dog.
Nice job, Wade. Way to pick up the correct kicker. The CJ Mutter Anderson pickup of the year tracker. So last week you had Chase Claypool at the top. How do those standings look today? Yeah, so Chase Claypool is still at the top. And I'm really curious to see how this goes with Deontay Johnson. I'm obviously invested in Deontay. I'm hoping this is kind of a Cowboys situation with Dak when Dak was in there. Hoping Deontay can fill the CeeDee Lamb role, and Claypool could be a better version of Michael Gallup. Claypool is a beast. He's going to be a player. I think Juju's the guy who's left out here. This could be. This reminds me a little of Golden Tate. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. He did nothing in the first, 4 to 6 weeks, and then he turned it on. Yep.
Yeah. This is a guy who has talent in Juju, and back then you knew Golden Tate had talent, but it wasn't showing up in the field. So it'll be. I don't know if I'm Jeff. I might be trying to move Juju, but actually, no, you don't do that because you're not going to get anything for him. So Claypool's up there, and I think he's number 1 right now because he has the main thing against him right now is situation, and just the fact that he's a rookie and kind of working into his role. But I think talent, he's the most talented person on this list.
Yeah, I'm gonna share the screen just so people can see what your list looks like, even though there's gonna be a bit of a spoiler alert here. But you got Gaskin at 2, who continues to put up numbers. Mike Davis 3, James Robinson 4, Henderson 5, Fulgham first time on the charts at 6, and then Indianapolis D at 7.
Yeah, Indy D is almost off here. They need to deliver again. We'll see. And Fulgham impressed me. He's and especially now with Deshaun going out. Why is he returning punts, by the way? And then Alshon Jeffrey on the block. So this could be Fulgham's job.
Could be.
Casey got himself a wide receiver 1. That's a great. And by the way, Casey is feasting down there at the 12 spot on the waiver wire. So he's just
his throwing strategy to the wind.
Yeah. There's 2 strategies, right? You can wait to make the waiver claims, get up high so you can get the hot guys, or you can do what Casey's doing. I think Casey's strategy might be I don't know. I go back and forth on it and play it different depending on year and whatever. But it's working out for him. So
definitely,
and
piece together a nice roster there.
Yep. One last thing I want to cover. After last week's pod, Casey said, "Hey, you should call the pickup of the year tracker the CJ Anderson Mutter pickup of the year tracker." So a little bit of SKFL history here. So in CJ Anderson was a rookie 2013, and that's kind of when he got on my radar. I mean that 2013. Oh no, it was the 2014 offense. It was amazing for the Broncos. But let's see. So in 2014, I carried CJ over his bye. He had an early bye in week 4, hoping that he would pick up that job. He didn't, so then I drop him. Then like a few weeks go by, and then he finally gets the job. He puts up a 48. Casey waivers him. That was in week 10. After week 10, CJ Anderson puts up 30, 48, 44, 29, 21, and 41 rest of season. That 41 was in Casey's last championship of 5 in a row. So he has a little bit of history here. And then, and by the way, that was one of the most painful waivers for me to watch because, I had been kind of tracking this guy forever.
You were invested.
Oh man. So it was tough when Casey had moved up to the top of waivers. So that's where being up there really helps when a guy really comes out like that. And then in 2018 championship, he's on Randy's roster. If Randy starts him, he wins that game. He put up a 39 in that game. Luckily he didn't. RDR comes away with the win. Randy got a Mutter jersey out of it, but
he did.
But yeah, so that's why we call this the CJ Anderson Mutter game. Oh, and by the way, the Mutter comes from Week 12 game in 2014 where he puts up a 46 versus New England, and Collinsworth says, "Hey, we used to call these guys like this mutters." So. That's
Speaking of mutters, in Denver tomorrow, 7 inches of snow expected. Are you concerned about Mahomes? Just kind of, is this going to limit him? Are they going to run it a bunch?
Okay, so I'm just hearing this. Well, this makes me feel better about dropping Mecole Hardman. I mean, like,
it's going to be cold. It's going to be snowy. Maybe a little wind.
Yeah. So snow actually harkens me back to 2007. And Tom Brady, that was the year Tom Brady went off.
Was it against the Titans?
What's in 2007?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I don't remember who they're playing.
Nothing at the half or something crazy like that.
Yeah, it was a snow game, and it just that I think it was the semifinals, and I lost there. Didn't make the championship. So that freaks me out. But then I've seen plenty of other snow games where it just doesn't matter. So. Initial thoughts, we'll see. I mean, the Bills game, the Chiefs Bills last week, where they were just running it down the Bills' throat. That's what you're scared of when your quarterback's playing. So I could see him leaning more heavily on that. But it's Mahomes, man. I mean, Mahomes is God. I'm not worried about it.
Anything else you want to cover before we head out for the weekends? Enjoy some football on Sunday.
Let's see. Go vote.
Go vote.
And stay healthy. Good luck not losing any players. I mean, I don't know if it's just this year, COVID. Not a ton of training camps, but it feels like injuries have really hit. So. And it's now feels like it's pretty even across all the top teams. Everyone's struggling with it. So I'm happy about that, but that's also brought a ton of parity across the league. So good luck this week.
Yeah, good luck, everybody, except Kenny.
Alrighty,
have a good week,
except for Cappers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, man, have a good one. Thanks for joining.
Nice. All right, take it easy, man.